Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Launch Codes Football. My name is Chris.
And I'm Chelsea, promoted back to second because Chris P decided to abandon us again
He
this
did not
week.
abandon us. Let's just get that out of the way. But short disclaimer, he did not abandon us. He just couldn't make it today.
Mm.
But that's
Well,
okay.
joke's on him. I'm back up to second instead of last, like
Oh,
normal.
oh my gosh. All right, but today, guys, we are going to be discussing the big game, the
Dun
Super Bowl.
dun dun.
It's finally here. I feel like every year, so it comes around, right? Obviously. And sometimes it feels like it sneaks up, and then you're like, it's the big day, it's the Super Bowl. And then the game ends, and you're like, well, that's it. Season's over, I guess.
Yep.
And it's like this, unless you're the team who wins it, which is just Kansas City every year. Um,
But see,
but
then football season ends and then baseball season starts and then we're all happy again. And by all of us, I mean me. Go Cubs.
I'm more of a NBA season starts for real after the NFL season's over. Look, I know the NBA season goes many more months before this, but like I'm gonna be honest, I do not pay attention until like April, which is when they have the playoffs. So
That's fair. I mean, it's the game, the All-Star games in Indianapolis this year, and Tyrese Halliburton is a starter. So it really is a crazy year for basketball in Indiana, for real.
true,
They put a basketball court in the airport. So you can dunk on someone and then board your plane. How sick is that?
that's hype. So let's get straight into it. So, in one corner, we've got the defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, led by their GOAT, Patrick Mahomes. Um, I feel like this is the team that's probably going to win it. Personally, I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. I think they're going to win because no matter what crap comes their way, no matter how bad that they look through the regular season or even sometimes I mean, actually, no. During the playoffs, they've looked good in pretty much all three games. I mean, the worst game they probably had was against Miami, but that game was so cold. Like, what were they supposed to do? And even then, they didn't look great, but they dominated Miami. So, I don't know, man. No one seems to be able to stop them. We thought the Ravens could. The Ravens were the chosen ones. The Ravens were supposed to do it, and they flopped. So, yeah, I think this is going to be interesting. That it's just to me so crazy that um to me it's so crazy that the Chiefs are back here again because it's like when you watch them, it's not like the Chiefs of old. It's not like, the big bombs to Tyreek Hill. It's not any of the crazy stuff. They're just dink, dunk, run the ball, even though Andy Reid kind of seems to hate running the ball. And then but they just win games and their defense is really good. I would argue this is like one of the more boring Chiefs teams to watch, and that's of no offense. It just means that they're not as explosive as they used to be, like 80-yard bombs. I don't know, Chelsea, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is definitely the best defense that Mahomes has had in his career with the Chiefs. Their defense is really, really good this year, especially their secondary. I mean, I remember even last year, everyone was like, their secondary is bad. It was like outside of like one person, it was bad. And this year, almost everyone is good. So they really improved on defense. I mean, Chris Jones is Chris Jones. They're just very well rounded on defense, and their secondary has really stepped up. So their defense, honestly, their defense impresses me more than their offense, which is strange to say, considering that, it's a Patrick Mahomes led team. And honestly, the craziest thing about the Super Bowl is I don't even think that the Chiefs are the best team. Like, I think that the 49ers have a lot more talent, like on both sides of the ball. And I think that they have a more well-rounded roster, but the thing is, Patrick Mahomes levels the playing field against whoever he's playing. I mean, I would argue the Ravens were a better team than the Chiefs, well, more well-rounded. I mean, their defenses, maybe it was a little better, it was about even. I would argue their offense is a lot better than the Chiefs. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, that just levels the playing field, even if your offense isn't as prolific. And that's what I think it is this year Because I think that the 49ers have a better offense. I think that they have a better O-line. I think they have better position players. I think, obviously I don't think their quarterback is as good, but like I think they have a better running back. I mean, I think generally speaking that their offense is better than the Chiefs. Like hands down. Like I think their wide receiver one and their wide receiver two are both better than the Chiefs wide receiver one. Like I don't really think you'd find many people that would argue that. I mean, Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, I think, are unarguably both better than Rashee Rice. And Rashee Rice has had a really good year as a rookie, and he's really come on the second half of the year and in the playoffs. But I mean, their offense just isn't as good. But I still think they're gonna win because they have Patrick Mahomes. I mean that's plain and simple. This is going to be, we don't have Chris here to be like the 49ers are going to win, and throw a wrench in. I honestly agree. I think the 49ers are a better team that will lose, which is crazy, but
I am so sorry, guys. I realized I was on mute, so that's my bad. Okay, so before I was gonna start talking about the 49ers. I was just talking to nobody basically. I was talking to myself, so I hope you guys enjoyed
yeah,
that. Um,
yeah.
it's
I
okay though.
literally heard nothing,
It's
so,
okay.
it happens.
It do be like that. So
Sometimes it do be like that.
let's go to the other corner here first. So in the other corner, we've got the big Brock Purdy led 49ers behind all those superstars that look like a Madden Ultimate Team on offense, which is crazy. And I've got to be honest, there's a lot of people arguing that Brock Purdy isn't even top 10 on his own team. So, in my opinion, in order to get those naysayers to quiet, he is going to have a really great game. Not just check downs, not McCaffrey just, carrying the team, not Debo just or Kittle doing all of that, which is crazy. And to be honest, let's be real, Brock Purdy probably doesn't really care. As long as he wins the Super Bowl, I think that's all he cares about, I would argue. So, like if he wins, even if he plays terrible and has 4 picks and 3 fumbles, but they win by two or 3 points, like he's not gonna care. He's a Super Bowl champ. Um, Not that there's like any way you could win with those amount of
That would be
turnovers.
quite literally insane.
It's possible. I'm just saying. But I think I think the 49ers have so much talent. But the thing is, like both of these teams kind of they're not big explosive teams by making, deep shot throws. Although Brock Purdy does throw a deep ball every once in a while, and he can run the ball. We saw against the Lions, he can run. People were saying, why does he look better running than Lamar did against the Chiefs? That's crazy. Um, I, I don't know if we want to get into it or talk much about it, but I think this is a really big legacy game for Brock Purdy, which is crazy to say. He's the last pick. Is not expected. Who's expected to win Super Bowl MVP being the last pick, Mr. Irrelevant? Like to me, that's just crazy. I just want to get this out of the way. I don't think Brock Purdy's like elite. I don't know if he's like top 5 in the league, whatever. I don't know all of that. And to be honest, I do think his system helps him a lot. Like I do think it does, but I also think some of the plays he makes, I'm like, I don't think that's a system. Like I think he's actually pretty good. And the coaches just know how to use his skills to the best of his ability. Um, so do I think though that like he's the best player on his team? No way. And do I even think like he's the offensive MVP? No. I mean, the 49ers did make a Super Bowl not too long ago with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback and they had just stacked everything else. So, but I do think, obviously, I think Brock Purdy's better than Garoppolo, and they have more. I think they have a better offense than they did that year a few years ago against the Chiefs. But I don't know. But I guess the things that I wonder is Brock gonna is he gonna shrink or is he gonna play big? Because I mean, he's played good in his games. I mean, he struggled against the Lions in the first half, but the whole team did. That's what happens in a team game. Um, But yeah, Chelsea, what do you think of all the Brock Purdy naysayers right now?
So I think that the whole Brock Purdy argument is interesting because I think that the general population that follows the NFL that are like more than just casuals that like actually follow like stats and watch games of teams that they don't cheer for. Like I think that those people don't think he's good at all. Like I think you have like the casuals that are like Brock Purdy is bad. He gets carried by his offense. And then I think you have the people that actually watch that are like, no, like he's good, but I don't know if I'd put him top 5. You have those people. And then you have 49ers fans that are like, he is the best quarterback in the league. So you have three sects of people in the NFL regarding Brock Purdy. The people that think that he's overrated, the people that think he is underrated, and then the people that disagree with both of them. So I'm in that third party. He is not a top 5 quarterback. He just isn't. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I feel like most fans that are not casuals would agree with that. I mean, at one point, was he in the MVP race? Yeah. I mean, he was.
Mm-hmm.
But he came back down to earth and people said, okay, he is not on the same level as like a Lamar or a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow or even arguably a CJ Stroud. I mean, he just isn't. He's not out there doing those kinds of things currently that those guys are doing. So
Mm-hmm.
I would not put him top 5. I would also not say that he gets carried by his team 100% of the time because Bro goes out there and makes plays. I mean, that run against the Lions, that like 30, 40-yard run, like
Yeah,
you're
that
getting
was crazy.
carried. You're getting carried. You don't do that, right? That's not something that you do. That was very Lamar-esque. And Lamar is known for carrying his offense. So that was really Lamar-esque. And I mean, even if you watch Purdy's performances in the playoffs so far, I mean, he's had some really good throws. He's made
Mm-hmm.
some really good decisions. I mean, like downfield, not like I'm throwing a screen to Christian McCaffrey. Like he's made some really impressive throws this
Mm-hmm.
year and in the postseason. Like I feel like most people that actually follow football relatively closely would agree with that. But I don't think he's like completely carried, and I don't think he's top 5. I would say right now he's probably fringe top 10. I don't know if I'd put him in the top 10, but I would at least put him higher than 15.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of 32 quarterbacks, he's at
Yeah.
least above average, is what I would say he is right now. I wouldn't call him the MVP, and I wouldn't call him the worst starting quarterback in the league, and I wouldn't say he's 100% carried by his offense. Now, does he get carried by his offense? To some degree, yes. I mean,
Yes.
most people, they're the most prolific offense in the entire league. So yeah, when you're surrounded by what probably the best left tackle in the league, right? The best running back in the league, arguably a top 5 receiver in the league, arguably a top 10 receiver in the league. Like it's not even so much that he's getting carried, he's just on a talented team. Like
Yeah.
other people are going to show up because they're talented. And if
Mm-hmm.
people want to call that him getting carried, I mean, they can. It's not technically untrue, but other guys can't just not be talented. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
going to play well because they're superstars in a professional football league that know how to play football. I mean, it's not that difficult. But that's kind of where I'm at. I never bought in to the fact that people thought he was going to be MVP. I was like, are we
That's pushing
sure?
it. Like,
I feel
yeah.
like there's someone else we could give it to. But he's not like Purdy is 100% carried by his team and he never contributes anything and he just hands the ball off all game and McCaffrey gets 300 yards. Were there games where that happens? Yes, of course. There were games where McCaffrey had 200 scrimmage yards and carried the entire team. Like, yes, that is something that happened. But
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't contribute nothing. Like
Yeah,
someone has
of
to
course.
throw the ball. Like no one
And throw
else
it
is throwing
semi-accurately.
the ball. Like so to say he contributes nothing is 100% carried by his offense is factually untrue because he
Mm-hmm.
throws the ball. So that's just not true. Now, 49ers fans are probably going to be like Brock Purdy is a lot better than you're saying realistically, he's not top 5. Could he be top 5? Yeah. I
It's
mean,
only his second year.
he could come out next year and just destroy the NFC. I mean, it's entirely probable,
They
especially
kind
if
of do.
they keep a similar team around him. I mean, it's not impossible. Like
Yep.
he could take a huge leap next year, especially under Shanahan. I mean, he's in the perfect environment to succeed. You know, the argument is, well, what if you took Brock Purdy off the 49ers and put him on the Commanders? Would he be as good as he is? I would argue that most people wouldn't be as good as they are unless you're a
True.
top three quarterback. Like, unless you are truly special, you're going to elevate your team. Like, look at CJ Stroud. I mean, preseason, everyone was like, the Panthers have a better roster on paper. They will be better. But people forget before the season started, people thought the Texans roster was garbage. No one knew any of these players on this team. No one. And then CJ Stroud comes in and lights it up and elevates the play of every single player around him and makes that team a playoff contender. And they win a game. And it's like, not every quarterback is going to be that. It's just not. So, do I think that if you moved Brock Purdy to another team that he would be as good? I mean, probably not. I don't think he's CJ Stroud, but that's not what the argument is. The argument is, does he get 100% carried or no? And I would say absolutely not. He doesn't get 100% carried. He's very talented. He's fringe top 10. He's extremely young. He's in a great situation. So, I mean, we'll see. As for his legacy game, I totally agree with that. This is 100% a legacy game for him. If he goes out and throws one interception or two interceptions and a touchdown, yeah, no one's going to shut up about him. But if he goes out and throws for 250 yards and three touchdowns and zero interceptions, all right, now we're talking. If you can perform on the biggest stages, that's going to be what showcases your talent the best because you're playing against the best. So we'll see. I mean, I think people just get too like uptight about Brock Purdy. Like he's fringe top 10, he's a kid, and he's out here trying his best. Like, why is everyone so heated 24/7? Like, let the kid live his life, bro. He literally wore a hat to like his media interviews, and people were like, LOL, Brock Purdy wearing a hat. How unprofessional. Have you never watched a media day of any quarterback ever in your whole life? Like, this is not uncommon. Like, I don't know why he is getting so much unnecessary hate for things that literally everyone else does. Like, people just like to hate.
Yeah, here's the thing. That's like the world of Twitter. Like you exist and they will hate you.
Yep.
They don't, you do anything, you have, I literally saw a video today of a guy just accidentally, he was left hanging on a high five and everyone roasted him and said, "You're cringe. How could you? You're this weird person." And it's like, you're telling me in your life you've never had an awkward like interaction like that? Not even just like getting left on like hanging on a high five, but just in general. So every little thing you do on like if you're a football player, especially the quarterback, it will get overanalyzed to death um, by Twitter, by Fox, by ESPN, and they will be
By
on you
us.
about it. Yeah. By us, yeah. What are we doing right now? Oh my gosh! But
I know.
it's I mean, it's kind of sad, but I look, the truth of the matter is that none of this talk actually matters and that Brock Purdy only cares about winning the Super Bowl. He would
Yep.
like to play well. I don't think he would like to go out there and stink it up. I'd he'd probably like to think, "Hey, I'd like to lead my team to victory and like confidently, not not have
I'm
them
gonna
drag
go
him."
out and play awful. Go team. Like, no one is
Yeah,
thinking that.
no one's thinking that. So like, you know, but so with that, right? I mean, it just look, some of this is ridiculous. Yeah, I'm not on the train that he's like the best quarterback in the NFC or the best like top five. We're not gonna go there just because I don't see it, and that's fair. That's fine. But I do see a guy that's played big when he has to. He leads his team, and like before him, Shanahan was never able to come back being down in the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden he's won two straight in the playoffs where they have been down in like some in big time games. I mean, against the Packers, it
Yeah.
was pouring rain. Brock didn't have his best game against the Packers. We all know.
Yeah.
All of us know that. But he made it work. They won the game. That's all that matters. Against the Lions, they were looking rough, and it looked like the
Hmm.
Lions. I mean, you saw the dude. He was waving goodbye to the crowd.
So premature. He's
That's
been clowned for that, but
you
who
know,
wouldn't?
but
CJ Gardner Johnson.
yes, rip CJ, man. But here's the thing. That's truly all that matters to the 49ers. They're not thinking about who's going to get the shine, any of that, because the truth is, like, if you play for that team on offense, you know that you're probably not going to be the star every game because you got 50 of them on the team. You got a
Yep.
freaking Pro Bowl squad out there.
I mean,
So,
George Kittle was the best tight end statistically in the league this year. Now, I would argue if Mark Andrews hadn't have gotten hurt, that it would have been Mark Andrews, but it wasn't. I mean, George Kittle statistically was the best tight end in the league, and I think people just kind of forget about that. But this year, he was the best. So, I mean, they have him too, on top of Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and everyone else they have.
mhm. So here's the thing, though.
And Kyle Juszczyk, who caught a sideline pass, did the toe touching, and now his wife makes sick clothing. Go, Kyle. I'm sorry I cut you from my fantasy team. You
Yeah, you
deserve
didn't
better.
even believe in him. Don't even be proud of
You
him.
deserve better, Kyle.
So, so here's what I want to say though is I think the biggest hesitation I have on the 49ers winning though, it's the defense. The defense has come up big when it's needed to, in fairness. Um, but they haven't played Mahomes yet. Like this is a different game you're playing. It's not that they haven't played any good QBs. Let's not get that dumb narrative out there, but let's just be real. This is the best quarterback in the league that they are going against. And they've struggled over these playoffs. Um, it's not any disrespect. Obviously, Jordan Love struggling to him is not the worst thing. He's pretty dang good.
I mean, they got
Um,
lit up by Jared Goff in the
yeah.
first half.
Now
No
Jared Goff has
disrespect.
been, yeah,
No disrespect to Jared Goff.
he's been
Like,
lighting other people up, but this is
but he's not
Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. This is going to
Yeah.
be Patrick Mahomes they're going against. So my fear is that the 49ers defense is not going to be enough. Like it's It's just too hard to stop them. Now, I will say, who put the blueprint out and painted a perfect picture of how to stop them? Baltimore. They shut Kansas City out in the second half. So if you want to know how to stop them, just do that. um,
So easy.
I
Just do
know,
it.
I know, just do that,
Why people don't just do it is just
dude. No, I'm sorry. The Ravens really just had that game and they decided to throw. Like I
yeah. And then their defensive coordinator was like, "Peace out. I'm out of here." And now Mike McDonald is the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. So
look, man. I just think that um I'm serious though. I mean, they found a way to potentially beat Mahomes, and the Ravens had every chance to do it. I mean, they really did. And what's crazy to me, and what I hope Kyle Shanahan will learn, is that when you are playing against one of the worst running defenses in the NFL, and you have a very good run game, you should therefore use that. And it's not like the Ravens, you can't even make the excuse, well, they were down. They were down like one score the whole game. Like it was doable.
yeah,
So,
I would argue that the Ravens lost that game.
oh
Not
yeah.
even that the Chiefs won that game. The Ravens should have won that game. If you hold
Hmm.
Mahomes to under 20 points in the playoffs on the road when he has a chip on his shoulder, you deserve to win. Their offense played awful. If the
Uh-huh.
49ers can do better than that, they have a chance of winning.
Exactly. So that's why I really think that the 49ers, I don't think they have quite that kind of defense. They just don't. I mean, their defense has made huge plays when they've needed to. That turnover when they were getting all the momentum to go back, that is massive. Don't get me wrong, but this is the first time they're going against a team that you could argue is like evenly matched with them. Um, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
and I
say the
mean,
Lions were completely evenly matched.
it's not even that the 49ers defense is bad.
No, they're
Like,
not.
it's not bad, but the Ravens had arguably the best defense in the league,
Mm-hmm.
and Mahomes couldn't drop 20 on them. Now, was it only Mahomes? No, of course not. But they should have won that game. I mean, all the 49ers need to do is play well against Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. If they can, relatively speaking, keep those guys under 100 yards and make
Which is hard to
someone
do.
else, yeah, and make someone else beat them, I mean, that's the goal. And not to underestimate, Isaiah Pacheco. He has proven his worth for where he was picked. He is definitely super talented. But this Chiefs team is just hard to beat in a different way than it's ever been. Like, this is the most balanced they've ever been. This is the most probably conservative play
Mm-hmm.
calling wise they've ever been, which ever since Mahomes, struck like lightning in the league, we weren't really used to that. And it's very strange watching them be this way.
It
But
is.
it is very effective, and they've had, a great playoffs. Their wide receivers finally decided to show up when it matters. Um, which is, a huge plus for them. So it's going to be hard. And, I think an underrated storyline for this game is the 49ers kicker. Because if you have watched any 49ers games this playoffs, he has been bad. Like, really bad. So if I'm Kyle Shanahan and I'm, 55 yards out and I can kick a field goal, am I going to? I mean, it's a realistic question. Their kicker has just not been that good this playoffs. And I mean, if you're less than 5 yards out and you're on the 45-yard line, what's to say that they're not going to go for it on fourth down instead of kicking it? Like, I will be very interested to see how long of a leash their kicker has in this
Mm-hmm.
game,
I can
because
see that.
it has been a rough go for him. And the last thing, if they want to beat Mahomes, the last thing that they can afford to do is leave points on the field. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot. If you have any hope of beating Mahomes, you have to get every single point you can get your hands on. If they even miss one extra point, that could be the end of them with how
Mm-hmm.
many points Mahomes puts up. So I will be very interested to watch and see how long his leash is, because it would not surprise me if his leash is no longer than like 40 yards. It really
Okay.
wouldn't, based on how he's played.
Pull a Dan Campbell. Just send it every time.
Yeah. I mean, you could.
To
That's
Dan's
always an
to Dan
option.
Campbell's credit, the plays worked. The guys just didn't catch the ball, or the first one at least.
And to
Um,
his credit, he has been doing this all year. And at least half of the time it has been working. No one would be criticizing him the way that they are if it had worked out.
and I'll say I
Like,
think the
if
first
he had
decision
made
was
two,
good.
if he had made 2/3 of those, no one would be saying anything. If they were in the Super Bowl, everyone would have been like, "Wow, generational play calling! Can't believe he went for fourth down so many times." But because he doesn't, people are like, "You idiot!" And Lions fans are like, "Why are you? Has no one watched our games this year?
There's
This is literally every game."
there's only one play call that I thought was objectively a bad play call, and that was to run the ball at the end of the game when you have all three timeouts. Literally, Greg Olson is in the commentary booth being like, "I just don't understand." That's where David Montgomery got stuffed. They had to call a timeout, and
Mhm.
it was just bad. And
Or
even Dan
even,
Campbell admitted after the game, he was like, "Okay, yeah, that was bad. Like
and
I
I
should
mean,
have not done."
even the play where they could have gone for the short field goal and didn't, you know that it might not be the best decision. When I am sitting next to Conlon watching the game and Conlon goes, they're going for it on fourth down. Conlon loves when teams go for it on
I know.
fourth.
He's like,
And he was like, "Why are they doing this?" I looked at him. I went, "Are you serious right now? Like, you every time they don't go for it on fourth down. Okay, not every time, but a lot of the time you're like, they should go for it." And he was like, "No, not in this situation." That's when you know
yeah,
because Conlon is like fourth down king, and he was like, "Why are they not kicking the
man.
field goal?"
Yeah, see, like I said, the first decision, I agree. You to go if you just really want to put your foot on the gas and just step on the 49ers, I'm not opposed to that one. It was the second one where I'm like, okay, that one was not a great decision.
Hmm.
And then the last one where running the ball when you could have just kicked it at like you're at like the 1 yard line, you can kick that. If your kicker misses that, like then
You don't deserve to win if they
yeah.
miss that. Yeah.
So I'm like that one just made that was the one where I'm like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. I don't get this, but it
I
doesn't
will
matter.
say though, with the 49ers winning, I think it is a more evenly matched Super Bowl. I think if the Lions had made the Super Bowl, that Mahomes would have obliterated them.
But they beat the Chiefs in week 1
They
in
did,
Kansas City.
they did, but week one is a lot different from Super Bowl Mahomes, where his whole team is now playing well.
I mean,
Because the
yeah.
Lions, their defense improved a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, they were bad last year, and they made a lot of improvements, and they were a lot better this year, and they're just going to continue to get better. But their secondary is not known to be good. If Mahomes went against that secondary, he would have obliterated them in the Super Bowl. With the way that his receivers are finally playing right now, I really don't think it would have been close. So I think it's going to be a more entertaining Super Bowl with the 49ers in, but I would have liked the Lions more just because, okay, I'm 25 years old, right? The Lions have been bad literally my entire life.
Yeah,
Literally. Like, I would have loved to see the Lions go to the Super Bowl and win. Like, that would have been so cool. But, wasn't meant for this year. So we'll see what they manage to pull together next year.
exactly. Well, I think that pretty much covers it. To those of you who want to, let your predictions be known, let us know in the comments. Um, and yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. Wait, can we get before we do go, let's get a quick score prediction though.
Mm,
I
you go first.
I am gonna go with a crazy one here. Considering last year we had like an awesome Super Bowl until the last 2 minutes. It was very high scoring. This might sound crazy. I'm gonna go 38-31
Whoa.
Kansas City.
See, I was thinking the opposite of that. Both defenses are really good. I don't think that either offense is going to crack 30 points. I'm going to go Chiefs 27, 49ers 24.
Okay,
I
let us
think
know.
I think Mahomes will play really well,
Hmm.
but I think that the 49ers offense is really prolific and I think that they'll still be able to score, but I think at the end of the day it's going to be Mahomes that like leads a 2-minute drill and, does the thing that Tom Brady and Peyton and Eli and Drew and Ben Roethlisberger and all of them did. And I think that they're going to send out, the kicker and make a field goal.
All right. Well, I mean that's what they did last year. So,
Yep.
All right, guys, let us know what you think. But in the meantime, Chelsea, you wanna lead us out of here?
Of course. So let us know what you guys think. Give us your score predictions and just if you think we're totally wrong, tell us. We want to know if you think we're wrong.
True.
But thanks for listening, guys. Tune back in next week for more content. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter or X, because apparently it's X now, at LaunchCodesFB, and on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at LaunchCodesFootball. I'm Chelsea,
And I'm Chris.
and we will see you next week. We'll
See
see.
ya.